This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You're always scum. Rebel scum.
Boom. Boom. Always mutant. Always mutant. Here I am. Rebel Scum Podcast, episode 338. I'm Brock. This is... You're muted as well.
Probably sounds better for everybody. I almost just took myself off of this. I'm James.
Boom. We are here again to talk Star Wars. Star Wars, James. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about Star Wars. Okay, so like a week ago was Dragon Con. Never heard of it. But Dragon Con, Brock, had Sabine Wren, Moff Gideon, The Stranger, and Danny Trejo, Rancor Wrangler to the Stars. And they were all there on this panel together because they share one thing in common, and that one thing is Star Wars.
Star Wars.
And, you know, they always get asked questions. But in it, this is like the first time we've ever started on topic right away. People are going to be very happy about this. Anyway, so they asked Moff Gideon and Giancarlo Esposito. They said, "Hey, what's the deal with Mandalorian?" And he said that they're in a new direction, that Favreau and Filoni have taken Mandalorian in a new direction. They're making it a movie now because obviously it was supposed to be season 4, but it is a movie. And Giancarlo Esposito said like 2 years ago that this was supposed to be 4 seasons. I don't know if you remember that, but he mentioned it was going to be 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So he said, but he brought up a new direction. Then he goes, they're probably going to make 3 of them and maybe more beyond that. So we're talking about that because I am like, do it all day because you have Mandalorian Grogu. And I know how people feel about season 3, but I still think that I still think they're solid. I think they know what they're doing. And if you can kind of recapture, it all depends. For me, it's going to all depend on the Mandalorian Grogu movie. Not for me. I mean, like, in my opinion. If you can recapture what Mandalorian season 1 was and what A New Hope kind of was, I think Star Wars has found a little side story for us to finally enjoy going to the movies to watch again. All right, good night, everybody.
Yeah, sounds great. I don't know. I read his little thing, and I'm like, this is so vague. It's like we hope to make more movies. I'm like, yeah, but then the amount of articles of like this could be a trilogy. I'm like, could it? I mean, anything could be a trilogy like, if it's successful enough.
Well, I don't think he's in the know.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Sorry, I'm writing in the chat. I'm writing a poll. Hit the like button.
Are you doing a poll? What's the poll? Or is it going to come up here?
Did you force push the like button? It doesn't show up on StreamYard for some reason.
Ah.
I have to go on the site to do it, like on YouTube on the computer to do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of annoying. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't let me do it. I think Streamlabs let you. I don't know enough about Streamlabs. We'll have to get somebody to tell me. As Scotty's at work, Ron's here. If it erases the sequels, I say throttle. I think I said this last week. I think they're going to go on like a alternate. They're not going to ignore the sequels, but they're going to go at like on a separate path from them. So like these movies won't interconnect with them necessarily. Like they'll have a separate pathway that they'll go on, which will explain why all these characters were not in there. I mean, Ahsoka will probably still die because we hear her voice, but I think we're going to go on a separate pathway that won't intersect with the sequels, and that will allow Ezra to live on and Sabine and stuff like that.
Sure. I don't know. It's just like, it's sort of like maybe you could like break down a Marvel show doesn't connect to Endgame or something like that, but it's just like it all exists in the galaxy. I think it's just like if it's happening in the time period, it connects in some way because it's just like, oh, over here, which is always like an engaging idea anyways. Or like, what if like I'm trying to think like what's a good example that's not like nerd related. I guess like The Wire kind of was like different pockets of life in the Washington Baltimore area around the drug trade, and like there was a continuing story, but then there was also like, oh, what happens over here? So it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even like dwell on that concept because it's like this is during post Return of the Jedi era between, so it's just like it just is. So like unless they go with this 10,000 years in the past show, they're not really departing from Skywalker Saga anytime soon.
I don't think that Mangold movie's happening. I think Mangold. I think after Jurassic Park, after Indiana Jones 5 made no. It was like the most expensive movie ever, and it made no money. After that fiasco, I think they're like, "Hey, Mangold, here's the door. See you later. Goodbye." Which is on par with Star Wars. That's how they operate. They react so fast to everything. It's just like, oh, you're moving. We're gonna hire you, Patty Jenkins. We loved Wonder Woman 1. 2 sucked. You're out of here. James Mangold, we love you. You're doing a great job. Indiana Jones, we're really liking it. It made no money. You're out of here. Like, man, just like and same with Trevorrow, right? Like Trevorrow made Book of Henry, made no money. And not just it made no money. It wasn't apparently. I've never seen it, but the reviews weren't very good for it. So I'm posting us on Facebook now so people watch.
This is the part of the podcast where we just watch you type.
I'm honestly though, man, like just do it because I love the Mandalorian and Grogu stuff. I love all that stuff that they're doing. So just make a movie and I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah.
I would go watch the Rey movie too. I'm not saying I wouldn't go see the Rey movie, but if this is an option, if this is we know we're getting Mando and Grogu. Yeah. It's the only one we know we're getting because there's footage.
I shouldn't
say that though because Solo was like almost all done, but and they got rid of that. But they have footage like we pretty much know we're getting this. Of all the things that they've talked about, this is the only one that you're like, okay, that's actually going to happen. They're going to follow through on that one.
I don't know. Anything is possible. It's like they have a Batgirl movie that we're never gonna see. That's like that in like 10 years is gonna be like the cult. Like we need to see it. Like Superman Lives. It's like we need to see the footage. It's like bizarre that they're not gonna release anything.
I don't think it exists because of the tax. They'll like get sued or something if it ever leaks.
That's wild.
They've done that a few times. And I think that's why things get off Disney Plus. I think like Willow is just burned to the ashes. Like I don't think you'll ever see Willow again. And that's why it's because when I see these things, I'm like, why don't you just put it on Blu-ray, like on DVD or something?
Yeah.
Because hardcore fans will buy it. And that like you make it like a limited thing, but I think it's for tax purposes. Like those things are gone; they'll never see the light of day ever again, because it's financially better for them to just toss them than to keep them in any sort of capacity, which is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But that's business for you. I'm not in business.
Well, good night, everybody. Like, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm like, this is just such hearsay. It's like, oh, how old is Giancarlo Esposito? Like, is he in that era of his life where he's like, I'm an old man, I'll say whatever I want? Like, how old is he?
Probably. Look, I don't think here's the thing. I don't think he knows much what's going on. I think he knows they've changed. I think he knows that they've changed direction because obviously it was supposed to be a season, now it's a movie. And he probably knows he knows definitely more than we do. But I also think he doesn't know the full extent of it because I don't think he's in the Mandalorian Grogu movie. As much as I would love him to come back, as much as I'd love to see Moff Gideon again, I don't think he's coming back in that movie or anytime soon. He might come back. I'm not saying he's not coming back at all, but in that movie, I don't think he's going to be in that movie.
I mean, there are ways to get around it. I'm watching the new season of Only Murders in the Building, and like, what's her name? She was the gym coach on Glee. Jane Lynch. Jane Lynch is like a character in that show. She was like Steve Martin's body stunt double for his TV show he was in. So she dresses like him, and she's like, "Wow, I'm Jane Lynch," doing the same character. At the end of last season, the third season, spoilers, she gets shot in the cliffhanger, and that's sort of the setup for this season. So her character is dead starting the fourth season, but Steve Martin all of a sudden keeps seeing her in dreams, and then there's flashbacks, and then there's recordings of her. So it's very easy to put him in this movie in some capacity. Maybe he's a road recording of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's fun to talk about Mandalorian Grogu. That's why we have a podcast. But I'm like, this is like a nothing. I think what blows my mind is how many people are talking about where it's just like, but like, why? I don't know.
Because it's Star Wars, and that's what people are talking about.
Yeah.
Like it goes back to when we started. It goes back to when we started the podcast, and it was like, who was Snoke, and we would talk about all that stuff. And Mandalorian seems to be the Ahsoka was kind of like it until the end fizzled, but like where it's the most fun to discuss like what could be going on in Star Wars.
But isn't that wild? It's like, we're not talking about character development here, or like, who is this character? Like, do you think they're gonna make another movie?
Well, because the report came out when we did the episode last week, we talked about Cal Kestis, but in that same source said that the Mandalorian, there was not gonna be any more Mandalorian movies, and there was no more TV shows. Like, it ended with that, but Din Djarin would show up again, and then like the next day or 2 days later, Giancarlo Esposito's like, well, they're going to make 3 of them. And I think what's happening is there's going to be one Mandalorian Grogu movie. That's what they're going to call it. They need to stop calling things after characters' names. We've said that.
Yeah.
But then I think what will happen is I just think they're going to keep, like, if that one's a hit, and I can't see it not being a hit because it's only going to cost, I think it's like $120 million budget or $110 million budget, which is $200 million less than the Acolyte. So it's like, it's probably going to make its money back opening weekend or within the first 2 weeks. So I can't see it not doing well. And then from there, they'll make the next one. But that one, I think it'll be a contained movie that will leave doors open for a sequel, like A New Hope does. I think it's going to be more like Solo, like a contained movie. But, if you want to have a next one, we have an idea for the next one. And then they probably, I'm guessing they have an idea for, because the Filoni movie is still a thing, and my guess is they have like the idea for this movie is going to lead into Ahsoka, which will lead into this, and then they have the Filoni movie, which will be like the big Return of the Jedi moment or whatever.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just like, I kind of get it. They have to sort of talk about what the future is because they are a business, like you said earlier, and like they have to tell the stockholders, the big bosses that whatever. It's like, yeah, we're gonna make this, or the people that would invest in Disney and Lucasfilm. It's like, we're making this next, and they're like, cool, okay, go make it. It's just like, I would at some point be like, stop announcing things. Like,
that's what they need to do.
Things or stop announcing things. But like,
this was just him someone asked him at a convention, and this was just his answer. They do need to stop announcing things because it's gotten out of hand. Like the Rey movie, there's reports that it's not happening, and they made a big kerfuffle about it with Daisy Ridley 2 years ago. It's freaking.
Well, my point is though, it's just sort of like, we're only making one movie. Don't make those like blanket statements, or that's not blankets. Like, don't make it a definitive like statement. Just be like, we are going to make a movie about this, and then the next movie is going to be about something else. Like, that's okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You're just, all I hear is you're going to make movies. It's like we're never going to touch the Skywalker saga again. I'm like, but why? Like I can't remember what else we like talked about where they paint themselves into a corner. Maybe it's
Well,
Marvel or something. But it's just like, what are you doing? Just
They
don't
called
do
it the
that.
Skywalker Saga, and they're like, we're going to make 3 more movies. Why? Like, think about this. If they didn't call it the Skywalker Saga, they might not have felt so like they had to end everything in the last one. And they could have kept going for another 3 movies, another 6 movies, 20 movies, 2, whatever it was, right? They could have kept going. But instead, they're like, no, this is the end of the Skywalker Saga. Why? Nobody cared about the term Skywalker Saga until 2015. Now, what? I never heard that in my life. Now, we had an old viewer, it was Aaron, I think, sent me an article. It was from 2012, I want to say, and it was called the Skywalker Saga on like some official merchandise from Lucasfilm. I don't know if it was before or after Disney, but I never heard that in my life. And all of a sudden, like the Skywalker Saga. You know what would have been great if they would have been the Skywalker Saga was those first 6 movies, and now this is the next Skywalker Saga. This is Skywalker Saga Part 2. Like, I don't know. For me, that was the beginning. Like, yeah, they handcuffed themselves so bad with everything they say. Like one streaming show a year. Until what? Until Skeleton Crew is a giant, massive hit. I'm just speculating based on Suburban and Space, which is pissing people off. But like, what if it is? And then like, no, you know what? We need 200 Skeleton Crews next year. It's like, it's not about the quantity; it's the quality. Yeah. You could give 40 shows a season. If they're all good, we'll watch them. If they're not, we're not going to like. Well, I am. You are. We're going to watch them. But like, I think they just need to plan things out, which is why I'm excited for. I think the Mandalorian stuff what makes me the most excited because I feel like they seem to have a plan, like some kind of outline attached. Like I think Favreau has some kind of grand scheme in his head that's playing out. Whether or not it's good, I don't know, but I feel confident because and also Favreau's the only one who's done, and Filoni to a point is the only one who's ever been like, we're making this, and they've actually made it. Everybody else is like, we're doing it. Are you though? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that like all those Star Wars people went to that con and this is the only thing that really came out of it. Not that I can see at least.
I don't think there's much else. Like there's nothing going on, right? Because the next movie there's nobody from Skeleton Crew there. Acolyte's canceled. So like Manny Jacinto being there is kind of like you got to tread lightly on that one. Although I think because he's going to all these cons and I know like they're not heavily involved in who goes to those cons, like Lucasfilm and Disney, but he's at D23. He's at this. I don't know if I'm pretty sure everybody liked his character. I think of the one thing of the Acolyte that everybody can agree on is that the Stranger Chimere was an intriguing character that you're like, I'll watch more of that. And I think everybody thinks he did it. Well, most people would say he did a good job. I thought he was excellent. I can see him returning in something. I think time's going to have to pass. They're going to have to let time pass to heal the wounds of the people who are really butthurt about the Acolyte. But I think we'll see the Stranger in something. It won't be called the Acolyte or anything resembling it. And I don't know if he'd be the lead, but if they decided to go do like a Darth Plagueis show or movie or something, like I don't know, I'm just spitballing. But I think something in that era, I can see them utilizing him because he was the highlight of that show, in my opinion. And my opinion is all that matters.
I think it's just like think of like we liked Kira in Solo. Like there's so many cool characters that like you're like keep doing it. I guess they're kind of doing it with Saw Gerrera. Saw Gerrera was a nothing character and then all of a sudden became really really interesting and they keep throwing him stuff.
But isn't that like what makes it awesome? Is that they just like so you're getting it. Saw Gerrera's going to be in this game. We don't like for no reason other than it's Saw Gerrera and he fits the time period. I love that they're doing that.
Yeah,
love it.
Easy.
I hope they find more. Kira's the one that baffles me because just like the Stranger, it's like everyone kind of was like, Kira was a good character. I'd watch more Kira. And they were like, although Disney Plus wasn't a thing, I bet you if Disney Plus was a thing closer to Solo, I think there would be like within like 5 months, it would be like the Kira show's coming. But I still think Book of Boba Fett, which I'm one of 7 people that liked it. I still think it was a missed opportunity not to have her show up in that show in some capacity.
Why not? Like, it could work.
That's the thing. Like, what? Yeah, I think it would have worked in that show, and I think people would have blown. You know what it is? You know what, Brock? Rogue One Darth Vader scene And I am your father, and the Darth Vader hallway scene have ruined Star Wars.
It's
like
it has
everybody
to be crazy.
Yeah, everybody wants a twist, and everybody wants some crazy moment, and with like somebody that you know and love, and just like I don't know if I don't know if the people making Star Wars want that. And I don't know if that Star Wars needs that, but the people making it certainly don't seem to think that.
Yeah. When does Skeleton Crew come out?
December
2
3rd.
more months.
Do you have news? Do you have news today?
I do.
Do you have the Christmas stuff?
No. Let's talk Christmas stuff.
So Collider had an exclusive today. Because I just checked it out. I was just typed in Star Wars, and it was all like the same nonsense. Outlaws is a failure. All this stuff came up. And then like I hit next on the page, and all of those articles were old. But then when I hit next, so page 2 came because I was like, I don't care about this stuff. I hit next, page 2. It was like 2 hours ago. I'm like, well, that's way fresher than the stuff I just read. And this is like a nothing article. This is why I didn't know we have a news for that. But so Collider had an exclusive where the Disney store will be selling Star Wars Christmas merch. And they have like Jabba the Hutt with like a Santa hat on, an R2-D2. Like it's all these Christmas, like a droid's like colored as Christmas. And I'm like, awesome. That's what I'm in Star Wars for.
Yeah.
I was like, put the fun in, like, I don't know, just that kind of stuff of like, all right, if there was, I know Disney Store doesn't exist at least here anymore, I would contemplate some of these products because they are pretty. Oh, I gotta tell you this. This is in secret. Don't tell anyone. So, my wife was gone. Erin was gone tonight, and I had to look after Selena, and I put on animal noises on YouTube. And she was like, she's all like, you know, she loves animals, right? So she's like saying like, oh, it's a rabbit, and she gets excited. But then I put on. I didn't know this, but I own the first 2 seasons of Rebels on iTunes. I don't know when or if I paid for them. I have no idea. I vaguely remember I talked about it on a podcast, but I didn't know I had them. And I was like, oh, so I clicked on one. We don't watch TV with her, so she had no idea what was going on. I clicked on one, and it started, and it was the end of season 2 where Maul blinds Kanan, and there's a whole like Ahsoka. They have like a 4-way like with the Inquisitor, like a lightsaber fight.
Yeah.
So Selena was zoned in. And when the fight ended, she was like, no, more.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm like, back to animal noises. But like she likes lightsabers. So I have a toy. I think I have Anakin's lightsaber somewhere from 15 years ago, like still in the packaging. That was like, what am I gonna do with this? I think we're gonna give it to her, see what she does with it. She'll hit me with it.
Take a video of it. That's what you're gonna do.
Yeah, 100%. But it was so fun. I didn't know I owned them. I think I remember getting them, but I don't own all 4. Just 2 seasons. It's just the first 2 seasons.
It's funny that you mentioned that because this is in the news, but I'll just say it now because it's like almost a nothing story. Today's the 3rd, right?
Second.
Tomorrow's the 3rd. Tomorrow is the 10th anniversary of the premiere of Rebels season 1.
So I noticed that it was like October something too. Yeah. I just kind of saw it. Wow.
Yeah.
10 years.
Wow. So I guess 10.
So the episode I watched was like 9 years old then.
Wow. Yeah. Yes, second season. You're right.
Wow, that's nuts.
Let me just double check that. Yep, 2014. That's crazy.
I'll say the animation held up. It looked good.
Yeah.
This looks good.
I watched that at Fan Expo 10 years ago. I'm like,
yeah, I remember that we got to see the finale. You always talk about that too. You brought that up a lot.
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
So that's fine. Speaking of products, Brock got Star Wars Oreos. Dark side versus light side. Now, I've already opened this. It's pretty cool. I don't even think these are new. So if you're like, we know. We've been to a grocery store. I thought it's both. Both, like, I thought there'd be 2 types of Oreos in here. But when we open it up,
it's just one, right?
It's just one.
Which one did you get?
I got light side.
Okay, so I saw people, like when they first came out, complaining about which one they got.
Yeah, this is what they want us to get. They want us to get mad. I don't know if you can see that. R2, C3PO. Mace Windu. Like,
whoa, he has a book coming
wow,
out. His
he's
should be
angry.
purple. His should
Ray.
be purple.
Yeah. Oh, that would be dope if it's like if you get Mace, it's purple. But yeah, thank you to my wife for getting me these. These are cool. Like and I think there's a whole bunch of characters, right? Like it's pretty sweet. Oh, Chewbacca, everybody's favorite.
Oh, your favorite. Eat it on camera.
And-
Eat it on camera. Too loudly on the mic. ASMR on the mic. Do it.
I gotta take a video of this at work because my job changed. So now I work. I'm sort of like one of the managers in the warehouse for my AV company. I don't even know what my title is called, so I don't want to make it sound like I'm in charge of it. But our scanning system for our barcodes is literally the blaster sound. So when you scan it, you're boom.
No.
And if there's an error, it does a Chewbacca, roar, and they all hate it sound because that's all you hear all day long. The Chewbacca. That's nice.
Hairball.
I like that ASMR right there. Oh
ASMR.
yeah, baby.
I can put that in the tags, and we'll get a view. I got a confession to make. I don't like Oreos.
Yeah, neither does my wife. She likes.
Funny.
Do you like anything about it,
No.
or is it you just don't like it at all?
No, I don't like it at all.
You're like a Hydrox fan. That's the cookie with the cream in it that came out before Oreos and then lost to Oreos many years ago.
Oh really?
Hydrox.
No, I'm not. I've never. My sisters love Oreos. We always had them, and I was always like, I don't like the weird chocolate on top. I don't know what the hell that is, and the cream
Graham
grosses me
cracker.
out. I don't like any of it. It's not really. Graham crackers are great though. That's like a.
Oh yeah, but it's a graham
Okay.
cookie with like chocolate flavoring in it.
Yeah, get rid of the chocolate flavor. Maybe because someone told me I might like the gold Oreos or the white
Yeah.
Oreos, and I'm like, you know what though? They're so expensive. I would rather just. By the way, I saw like the top 20 chocolate bars today, candy bars, whatever. Toblerone was like 26 on the list. World, get with it. Snickers was 1. I was like, Snickers. Snickers great, but like number 1. Crispy Crunch could not find it. America, get with the times. Get yourself some Crispy Crunch.
It's what you're getting at your Walmart or convenience store, let's be honest. I have a friend that goes up to a convenience store and if he sees a big Turk, he like runs his finger over the top of the first one. It's like, hey, not Dusty, amazing. Because it's like, who eats a big Turk? Not me. I don't even know what it's like.
I don't think I've ever had. We got a question in the chat. This is Ben Wolf Pottery. You guys think they will ever do a live action Clone Wars series to cash in? I'm gonna be honest with you. When Ahsoka came out, people were talking about this, and I was like, "That's why we've already had the series."
Yeah.
But now, like a year later, I'm like, "Yeah, why don't they just do it? You don't have to. Don't tell the stories you told us in the animated stuff.
Yeah.
Give us new stories." Because Hayden Christensen's all in, Ewan McGregor's all in. You could get Eckstein or Rosario Dawson to do Ahsoka. Like, it's all there for you. Or you can get what's her name, Greenblatt, who did young Ahsoka. It's all the elements are there. All the actors are there. I don't know why I don't know how that hasn't, if it has been brought up and they've said no or what. I think they should, because I think it's a surefire hit. I think as long as make it a fun, entertaining show, but I think you're gonna get people to watch it.
I agree. Like it would be a home run. At least like you could get all the Clone Wars fans to watch it. But I almost disagree with you. You're right. They do have all the actors, but the same note, it's like they kind of don't, because it's just like they don't look young like they do in the movies. Which is like, I know we live in a world where they can easily erase that, but you know what I mean? It's just, and like Hayden Christensen looked great, dressed up as like Clone Wars era Anakin and Ahsoka. So it's like that scene alone, it's like, yeah, let's see more of that. But like, I don't know. Maybe how about this? Let's do what you did with Clone Wars initially, and you made a little movie first, like a made-for-TV movie. I know it's hard. We just talked about they're not making freaking movies, but like,
with Iger's like no Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. Like, but yeah, if they did, you know what they should do? You're right. It's not a movie though, Brock. It's not a movie. They do what we just have Rebels. When Rebels did that, because I own that one too. What's it called? that Vader
Oh,
movie
yeah.
on Rebels.
Yeah.
Right? You do that. So it's not a movie, but it's not an episode. It's like a prolonged episode. And you just and that's your wiggle, that's your way to get around calling it a movie to Mr. Iger. And and you could do that. I because like yeah, we've gotten 7 seasons of Clone Wars. We don't need any more, but it's a home run. I think everybody's fascinated in that. And I said once, you know what? The Clone Wars started in live action and they ended in live action. Maybe we should get to see some of it in live action. It would be fun to see some of it. You don't have to go into certain aspects of it and tell different stories and just show us what was going on in the Clone Wars. And we can get more Rex. I'm always good for more Rex.
Absolutely. No, I fully agree. Like, you could even do like somehow do a Clone Wars movie or show or whatever where it's just the clones and some random Jedi to fill in that gap. And it's just like I think it's more engaging to watch another story where like these men are all the same thing, even though they have their own little personalities. They're genetically the same person. It's like, what does that mean? Like, what kind of story can you tell? Like, it's interesting. It's the whole idea of identity. So it's like, yeah, no, I mean, I'm in. Like, that would be awesome. And just seeing troopers with like their like painted uniforms to whatever squadron they are, and also their identity. It's just like, yeah, that's fun.
All in. Do it. Got a couple more in the chat before we get to blind rankings. From Ron, Patreon Ron, what do you think of taking a risk on the Rey movie where Rey dies in Act 1? That would be, you know what? I kind of like shocking moments, so I'm not opposed to Rey dying in the beginning. But I would rather see like the Palpatine in her blood kind of take over and her kind of turn. I know we're too late for her turning dark, but I'm just give me another good guy who turns bad. That's what I'm asking for. But I don't think they would kill Rey off in Act 1. Though. I don't think they would do that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But it would be interesting.
Yeah, it would.
I don't know.
It would be shocking. It would be shocking.
Yeah. What like have they actually like? What is Rey's association to Palpatine? Because it's like certain things are said where it's just like cool, but like I don't feel like anything concrete is ever really said in the movie because it's just like.
Well, her father was his clone that didn't turn bad. It was always a good guy, so they rejected him, and he got married, and they had Rey. And so CVP says, "You're my granddaughter." At one point, it's like granddaughter. Yeah.
But when do they say the son is a clone? That's the part.
I think it's Luke says it in like that flashback thing where you see the flashback of her with her parents. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it. The last time I watched it, I was at my parents, and my dad was like, "This is a bad movie." Oh, Dad. Oh, we have one from Lone Phoenix here. What's the story you would like to be told in Star Wars universe? No using known characters. I can tell you right now, I would love to see like the origins of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I think you could do anything. Like it's too easy to say go 1,000 years in the future and tell me something there. But I think the origins of the Jedi. I think you could do like a really cool movie that would bring us back to like Lord of the Rings style storytelling. Like like how A New Hope was kind of like more of like there was something a little more prestige about it, like less. I don't know if that would sell anymore, but yeah, I would like to see Origins of the Jedi.
Yeah, me too. Like they kind of showed parts of it in Dr. Aphra, kind of the comic book. Like I stopped reading, so I don't know if they've continued on into it. But like the whole concept of like, because she's an archaeologist, so she's finding relics of like this Jedi, this like proto Jedi versus this proto Sith. They fought, and this is the story. But then it's like you don't. Because it's an artifact and you don't know, like, she couldn't have met these two people. It's like, oh, who is the villain and who was the hero in this? Because it's showing kind of like what happens in Last Jedi, where you see Luke's side of the story, Kylo's side of the story, and the reality. So it's like, oh, that's fun. Like I could get behind that because it's just like I think that's one of the interesting things about High Republic. It's just like we're still figuring this out, so we don't really exactly have rules. But the characters you're engaging with are no different from what you've met in Star Wars. So it's like, oh yeah, this kind of works, and that could be similar in something like that. But I mean, obviously, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I can't think of a comparison. Like, I never watched that Caprica show, which was like the prequel to the Battlestar Galactica series, like then the newer version. But it's just like they were showing, like, hey, look, we built a robot. Oh, it's gonna be great. And it's like, no, it's not. But then I guess that's the prequels. They're like, hey, look at this kid. He's good at pod racing. Let's take him to Coruscant. This is a great idea. This is a perfectly great idea.
You should have wrote Phantom Menace. We've got Ben Wolf Pottery back. All I'm afraid of is the world between worlds becomes a time machine and reboots everything, and they start from scratch. Kathleen Kennedy nightmare premonition. Look, the world between worlds, they used it. That's fine, but I am okay with them never going back to that well ever again because it can become a crutch. Yeah. I don't like it when it's like that Harry Potter movie. It's everyone's favorite Harry Potter, but I know it's my least favorite. It's the third prisoner because they use the time machine at the end. They're like, well, just do the time machine. And every time I watch a movie after that, I'm like, well, just use your time machine necklace. Like as soon as you open Pandora's box, you can't go back. And so yeah, I'm not big. I like the way it was used in Ahsoka I was fine with. But I'm like, that's kind of like, no, I agree. That's curb that one, yeah.
Like that episode of Rebels where we first see this is the world between worlds is like, ooh, this is very interesting. But you're right. It's like the second it's like you could jump in and out of time through like some magic bridge. You're like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do it. But like, there's stuff in it that like, ooh, that's interesting. But now it's like, if it's going to be something you bring up later on to fix a problem, like I don't like it, right? Or it's just like, it's almost like a reverse Scrooge story where it's like, I got visited by 3 ghosts and I changed my life. It's like, I got shown something. So like, or, like a whole storyline of like, we're going to change the past. It's like, oh, it ruins everything. Let's go back. Or that's not really Scrooge. That's like, It's a Wonderful Life, right? It's like things have to happen the way they do. And it's just deal with your reality. But I think we've talked about it a lot. So it's just like, there could be some interesting things. Anyways.
But in the wrong hands, it could be dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's just like...
That's the problem.
I think the show The Flash has really ruined, like, time travel and multiverses, like, prior to the multiverse boom.
I've never seen the show. So I've never seen Battlestar Galactica. You're opening my eyes to a lot of things. All right, blind rankings.
Let's do it.
Doing the blind rankings today. Blind rankings. You know what I love about doing this is I don't let you know what the topic is even, because I almost sent it to you with the topic today, and I was like, or yesterday whenever I sent it, I was like, no, got to get rid of that. Brock can't know what we're talking about.
I don't read it till like the show happens, so it's not like I think about it. But I love how it's like blind rankings in bracket 5 choices to be ranked blindly. I'm like, yeah, no dough.
I think I wrote that, and I just don't delete it because the first time, just so you knew. All right, 5 choices to be ranked blindly for all of you. Okay. And hey, chat, if you want to play along, write your list too. But it's blind, so you gotta put it in once I say. No takesy backsies.
Yeah.
Takesy backsies. Axe Wolves. We're going. Oh, sorry. This is Mando's side characters. It's Mando side characters. Mando's side characters. Axe Wolves, Brock. Axe Wolves.
I'm gonna put him at 5 because it's just sort of like, I don't know.
Because he doesn't do anything.
He doesn't really do anything, and he doesn't.
But his name is Axe Wolves.
It's a sweet name. It is cool. I would love to see him come back.
I think Lucas actually named him. I think that was a George Lucas name. My computer is telling me that wolves isn't a real word. No kidding. The next one, Frog Lady. We're going to go Frog Lady, Brock.
I chose right, so I'm going to put her at 4.
4? Frog Lady at 4. Don't tell.
She's definitely better than Axe Wolves.
I honestly think I have an opinion of this list, and if you do it in a certain way, you can't be wrong. Number 3, Captain Bombardier. Captain
Ooh, I knew this was coming.
Bombardier.
I'm gonna put him at 2, just in case that there's someone
Captain
slightly
Bombardier,
better. My reaction was to put 1, but
so far Ron is having the exact same as you.
yeah, I see that.
I haven't seen his other one. Wow, he's identical to you. Number 2, Quill.
Ooh, I'm gonna go number 1. I'm gonna take that chance and hope it's not like, I don't know.
Yeah, Quill is my favorite character. He was my favorite Mandalorian character, and I think he's one of my new era favorite characters. He
has more episodes too, like of the other 3 that you've already said. So
yeah, he's a great character. He's fleshed out, and he actually died, which doesn't happen very often with characters. And number 3, let's just save it. It has to be dramatic effect because it's Pelimato.
Oh.
Let me check the chat. Ron went 5, 4, 2, 3. The Lone Phoenix. I don't remember any of these. I think you have to go back and watch 3 seasons of The Mandalorian tonight. So how do you feel about your list?
I wish I should have followed Ron's suit because I think Peli is probably one of the most interesting characters at the top. Funny how like the top 2 characters, at least in Ron's listing, is like comedians. So like it's like, yes, put the comedians as their side character, plucky droid or crazy mechanic. I love it. Like it's so easy. What was Captain Bombardier? He was like he wasn't like the president. He was married to like the queen of that planet.
Yeah, he was something. He totally reminded me of a character from Droids.
Yes.
Like totally just was like, this is a character from Droids. Or Ewoks. Like an 80s animated character is what he was. And I feel like Jack Black was like, I got this one. And I thought he crushed it. I liked it's funny, that's the episode that everybody seems to like in season 3. Is that episode?
Yeah.
And then it's like, because it's the only one that isn't part of like the movie aspect of what season 3 was. It was like the standalone episode.
Yeah.
The weekly show. All right, guys, thanks to chat. That was a lot of fun. We'll go over to Never Tell Me the Odds.
Ability of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Never Tell Me the Odds, brought to you, me, and everyone that listens to this wonderful podcast by patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. If you like what we do, if you want to support us, if you want to get some content ahead of everyone else, or, when we're dropping other things, head on over to patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. Support us in any way you can. Thank you so much. We like talking about Star Wars, even when there isn't anything to talk about in the Star Wars universe. And we like to thank all the people that think that what we do is great and support us. And those wonderful people are Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Dale Erdman, Phil Staniforth, Rez, Scott D,
Josh Price, Matt W, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Den of Nerds, Disney Desi, Charlotte, Ron, hey Ron in the chat, Praysack, and Jeff Wilson.
Boom. Thank you.
Those are you.
Thank you to all.
Yeah, thank you for all of your support. We really, really appreciate it. Never Tell Me the Odds, brought to you by Patreon. Our first odd is Bo-Katan will die in the Mandalorian and Grogu motion picture extravaganza. Chat, you can play along too. Let us know what you guys think of all these as well.
Yeah. What was... I'm opening the wrong thing. Where is my email? Ask that thing again. What did you just say?
Bo-Katan will die in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Gonna go full Brock because I don't know what this freaking movie's about. Like, she might not even be in it. Maybe she is. I don't know. Shoot.
I think she teased that she might be involved. But that has nothing to do with the odd. Is she going to die in it? That's what we need to know. Is she going to perish?
No, I'm sticking to it like full Brock. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no.
I'm totally going full Brock. I'm with you on that
Yeah.
one because I don't even know if she's in the movie.
Yeah, it's just sort of like
Ron's at 80%. Lone Phoenix is at 40%. She is popular but old. I think, yeah. I mean, if the character is going to die, I think a movie is where you do it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Next odd, we talked about this a little bit earlier on. Moff Gideon will return in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Moff Gideon will return in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
I mean, I'm not against it, only if it works, but I don't know if it's gonna work. So 25%. Again, it's just so hard to make a call because you're like, what is this movie gonna be about? Because like the third season just sort of like we're done. So
second season they were done.
Yeah,
They had 2 seasons where they ended. The show has ended so many times. Ron is saying 99% to Moff coming in. I'm gonna go 27%. I don't think he's coming back in the movie. I think he'll be back, but in the movie, I don't think so. Oh, Lone Phoenix, 80% for it. So, and you guys, you don't know this, but Ron and Lone Phoenix are Bob Iger and what they watch all the time. Clone, yeah. I mean, the clone is easiest explanation for him because he was obsessed with cloning. So you have an easy out. Yeah, you have an easy out.
I hate how you just said he's a clone. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I'm in, and I'm like, we're done with clones. It's like, but then I'm like, hey, let's just make a Clone Wars live action TV show.
Bill Burr returns one. I hope so. I think he will. Him and Bill Burr and Zeb would have some great scenes together.
Oh yeah, that'd be perfect.
And I hope Bill Burr writes his own dialogue for those scenes. And our final ad today, Thrawn will not be mentioned in the Mando and Grogu movie. We won't even hear the name Thrawn. Just a heads up, Brock. My Google Chrome could crap out on me. You might be alone for this. We are coming up to the news, which is the best part for it to die. But it might. I'm just giving you a heads up. I got the warning. Thrawn will not be mentioned.
We're gonna go 10% for he won't be mentioned because like he's not that popular yet in the TV series, he's not a successful character right now. So 10%.
Wait. So that means you think he's gonna get he will not.
Oh, sorry. The other way. Sorry. Not 90%. Yeah.
I'm going to go full Brock because I don't know what is going on. He might just die in Ahsoka season 2. He might be the first act death, Ron. That could be the who gets it. He's got the. We got Ron saying 100% and Lone Phoenix is 33%. They are higher ups at Lucasfilm. So. Thanks everybody for that. Thank you Patreon for all of your support. And now it's time for Brock to give us the Hollow News. Hollow News. Give my mics off.
Hollow News, the news you need to know right now. Happy anniversary. 10 years ago, Disney Channel launched Star Wars Rebels on October 3rd, which is tomorrow or whenever you're listening to this. October 3rd, 2014. Wow, I can't believe we've had Rebels for 10 years. What a fantastic show. Go watch it right now. In our next story, Robert Watts, a production manager on George Lucas' Star Wars and producer on his first 2 sequels, along with Steven Spielberg's first 3 blockbuster Indiana Jones movies and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, died this week in his sleep at his home in West Sussex, England. He was 88. After working on Star Wars, Watts was an associate producer on Empire Strikes Back. And then the next following year, he was also an associate producer on Raiders of the Lost Ark. He then went to co-producer on Return of the Jedi and Raiders and Temple of Doom. And then he also produced The Last Crusade. And also, as I mentioned before, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's also being noted that he appeared in the unbilled role as an AT-ST driver in Return of the Jedi. So our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, and his legacy will live on in the films that he created. There's a new Battle of Jakku Insurgency Rising comic now officially out on Marvel's newsstand. Star Wars Battle of Jakku Insurgency Rising #1 could be picked up, and it will tell the story of the galactic that will take place shortly after the destruction of the Galactic Empire's second Death Star. As the ship flies past the wreckage of the Battle of Endor, a lone Imperial general opens communication to leave his people with an all too important message. As it turns out, he has no intentions of confirming the harsh truth of the Empire has all but fallen entirely, especially not when he can spread the kinds of lies that will embolden those who remain to continue fighting back against the Rebel Alliance that brought it all crumbling down on top of them. Writer of the show of the book, Alex Segura, says, "Our story will be an epic in scope, involving all the major characters you love, plus some new exciting additions to the mythos. Will not only give readers a front row seat to the final battle of the Galactic Civil War, will reframe the aftermath of the Battle of the Endor and introduce a new menacing threat that will keep our heroes guessing. The goal for all of us is to turn up the volume, make sure this adventure stands shoulder to shoulder with the other stories of the era as the Empire collapses and a new darkness rises." This series will span across 3 separate 4-issue limited series called Insurgency Rising, Republic Under Siege, and Last Stand. And as I said before, issue #1 of Insurgency Rising is on sale right now from Marvel Comics. Go out and get it. Sounds like an awesome story. I'm going to check it out myself. And this has been your Hollow News.
I had to make sure my mic was on.
It's like, will he come back?
Ron once again flexing that he is friends with one of the official voices of Darth Vader. I watched that video, Ron. That was a pretty sick Darth Vader voice. Soon Thrawn's coming in. Bo-Katan lives. Moff is back. Thrawn is talked about for sure. I said in 2020, Mando movie be first at Star Wars film. We thought it on 2022, not 2026. LOL. So we thought we were going to get that movie in 2022. Yeah, you're definitely honestly. So Sooner Thrawn is actually Bob Iger.
Oh,
spoilers. We have big time. Top 5 today. Top 5 Star Wars video game characters. Not just video game characters, Brock, because otherwise it would be Mario, Luigi, Toad, Peach. and some who else? I was going to pick somebody totally like very different from them.
Didn't we do this last week, or was it like top 5
non-living character? Look, bro, this is 338. Next week we'll do. You know what? I want to do a visual one, but we need time to send the pictures, and then this program, like putting the pictures on, it's a thing. It's a whole thing. And my computer's about to crash, so we gotta really get this. Here we go. Top 5 video game characters. My number 5 is, you know him, you love him. His name is Revan. Darth, maybe Revan. Number 5. Is that low on the list? Too high? You tell me.
I'm trying to remember all the names now. I'm gonna just throw Iden Versio now and go from there.
I'm gonna go Star Killer next.
I'll do Star Killer as well.
Fantasia always says he's too powerful, but I think I thought it was a really cool idea. I like Star Killer a lot. And get Sam Witwer back in Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly.
That's your number 4 as well?
Yeah.
Number 3 is Mr. Cal Kestis. Cal Kestis coming in at number 3. Would love to see him in live action. I like Fallen Order. I haven't played Survivor because I don't have a new console. If you guys want to help me get a new console, I'm going to start a GoFundMe after this. If you want, help James get a PS5 for the PS5 Pro for $700, which is probably like $1,000 in Canada, right? It's probably going to be around there. So my number 3 is Cal Kestis.
My number 3 is going to be Dash Rendar because he's sort of like the first real. His game is like, oh wait, Star Wars games can be good. Even though I was terrible at that game, I was like, it was like, wow, look at this.
I don't have him on my list because I was like, is he a video game character or a book character? And I went with book because that's where I know him mostly from. But you can use him as video game. We're not that particular here. Number 2, Iden Versio, because she's Empire, looks cool, and then turns to the light side. Oh, look at that. Ron with the flex again. Matt did Vader's voice in both the Force Unleashed games. Ron, we're going to have Matt on the show. And just talking to Vader. He's flexing right now in the chat. Your number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Cal Kestis, because awesome protagonist. Yeah. It's easy.
Yeah, no, I'm curious who your number 1 is, though. That's because mine is Star Killer number 1 for Lone Phoenix. Star Killer is number 1. My number 1 might surprise you because you don't play as this character, so maybe it's not going to be allowed, but I don't care. It's my number 1 from last week also. Second Sister coming in with a bang because I like Inquisitors that look cool and do cool things, and she gets offed in the end. But yeah, Second Sister. I like Second Sister. I like her art. I like that character.
My number 1's going to be Darth Revan because I was like, wow, that's crazy. And if you try to play that game again, you're like, wow, this is an old game, but like that story is very compelling. It's like, don't put him in a character. It's just let him live in that game. But like, oh, wow.
Here's the thing. I think the problem with if you did Old Republic movie or show and the story's not as strong as a game, you're just gonna piss people off. I think you just leave it. You just leave it in that game and let that be.
There's no reveal, so it's just like you don't. I mean, steal the idea and do it somehow in different characters, but like
which Filoni's good at.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My number 1 is a generic rebel pilot from Star Wars Battlefront 2. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, can't go wrong. Yeah, great list. Thanks to everybody in the chat. That's fun. Star Wars video games are fun. I wish I could play the new games, but I can't. Like Outlaws would have sold 1,000,001 copies had it been able, or probably 2 had we been able to buy it. But I can't, as I said. So so there you go. That's how it works. I want to play Outlaws though. I've heard decent things about it. Like no one said it's bad. People have said like, yeah, it's pretty good. That's kind of what I heard. It's kind of like the High Republic books. Everybody I talked to is like, yeah, it's pretty good.
What I've heard is like it's like if you like Star Wars, you're gonna like this because it's just like you like it's like it's one of those games where like you ignore the main storyline and just do all the side things and get distracted by your little buddy that runs around with you. So
Star Wars. All right,
to Star Wars.
338 episodes in. That will do it for us. Thank you, everybody in the chat. This was a lot of fun. Love when you guys interact with us because
yeah.
I'm trying to find the graphic. Get it out of there. All right, Brock. Anything else you want to say to wrap up the show?
No. Go out and get some Oreos. Find out if you get the red ones. And if there was a purple Mace Windu, that would be great.
It's like the Wonka gold ticket. There's like we've made 44 purple Mace Windus.
I got a purple cookie. Oh, fantastic.
So all right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe. Okay. Thanks, Brock. You were always Scum.
Rebel Scum.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.